Reflecting upon what I've experienced in Master Duel, I found that when I started researching Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, there were some terms I was confused about. Some were self-explanatory, of course, but I decided to make this video to help any new or returning players to the game get like a sense of what these words mean and what other content creators are referring to when they say said words. It is my hope that this video is found to be helpful, and I hope that you come out of this smarter and a better player than I ever was. So, shall we get started? As any good content creator would start off with, we will start with starters. So a starter, of course, is any card that is used to start your combo. These cards can be simple cards like searchers or cards that allow you to special summon more cards so you can go further into your combo. Parlor Dragon Maid is a starter for the Dragon Maid archetype. It simply allows you to send a Dragon Maid card from deck to graveyard, and from there you can extend your plays and end with a board state that is able to lock down your opponent. So in Parlor's case, we would send a Dragon Maid Tidying from deck to graveyard, and then go about the motions of using Parlor to end with a board where Heretic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres is on your field, allowing you to disrupt your opponent's plays. So in this case, we start with Parlor, and our desired endgame state is Heretic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. We also have starters in the form of spell cards. Fire Formation Tenki is a starter by itself, as it allows you to search out a Beast Warrior card, something like Tri-Brigade Fractal, which in itself is a 1-card combo starter. You can simply activate its hand effect to discard it and get a desired card into the graveyard. In this case, most likely Nerval. Nerval's effect activates in graveyard, and you get a Tri-Brigade kit to hand. You now have the materials needed to link summon as you will using the Tri-Brigade kit. As you see, starters are used to, of course, start your combos. It's one of the self-explanatory terms that we have. I'll see you in the next portion of the video. And here we are with this portion of the video, titled Extenders. Extenders are what cards work in conjunction with your starters to complete your combo and reach your desired board state. These are cards that you would normally search out or special summon after your starter's effect activates. Again, this is all used to achieve a desired board state that is hard to disrupt or break, or a board state that allows you to disrupt your opponent's plays. Previously stated, of course, we have Nerval, that's normally used in conjunction with Tri-Brigade Fractal. We send Nerval from deck to graveyard. Nerval's effect activates, allowing you to extend further into a Tri-Brigade kit. We would normal summon kit and then extend even further into our desired endgame state. If we are going first, that might end you with a Simorg or an Ominous Omen on the field. In the case of Dragon Maids, our goal is to either get Spheres or Shio on the field. With Dragon Maid Hospitality, we can bring back a Dragon Maid we sacrifice to link summon, and now we have 2 dragons who link into Heretic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. Same thing with Tidying. If we send Tidying to the graveyard using Parlor's effect, we can use Tidying's graveyard effect to resurrect our Parlor. We now have 2 dragons for Spheres. Another extender card that I did not include in this list is Dragon Maid Changeover. It's a card that's used to fusion summon your Shio, and now you have an Omni-negate on the field. As you can see, sometimes a starter is also an extender, as it can work in conjunction with whatever you started with. That's it for extenders. I'll see you on the next topic. And now we go to one of the bigger topics when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and that is tech. Tech refers to cards that either help you get your deck along, that are not extenders in of themselves. They are also cards that counter your opponent's deck strategy. This includes cards like Lightning Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster, and Raigeki. All of these cards can break a board. They are tech cards to help you disrupt your opponent. There's also the Pot archetype, which allows you to draw further into your deck, allowing you to smooth out your plays or guarantee a desired board state. Other cards that can help disrupt your opponent are things like Torrential Tribute, Bottomless Trap Hole, the Solemn Archetype, as well as Forbidden Droplet. Tech is one of the most broad categories for cards that you can add to a deck. That's why we have core cards like Stars and Extenders of a deck, and then we leave room for tech cards to counter opponents. Tech is needed to ensure that we slow down our opponent and speed up our kill time / win time. That's it for tech. However, there is a subsection for tech referred to as Handtraps. If you've played any amount of Master Duel, you know which Handtraps I'm talking about. I'll see you there in that portion of the video. And here we are with Handtraps. So, Handtraps are a subset of tech cards, aptly named as they are cards that sort of work like trap cards, but they can be activated directly from your hand. If you played any amount of Master Duel, you have encountered a variety of them. Ash Blossom, Effect Veiler, Maxi, Nibiru, and Infinite Impermanence. They exist to disrupt your opponent's plays if they are going first. That's why most high-end meta decks include at least 1 or 2 hand traps, so you can disrupt your opponent's first turn, and hopefully you're able to one-shot them on your turn when the time comes. Each of these address a different type of disruption. For example, DD Crow and Skullmeister target the graveyard. Droll and Lockbird counter adding cards from deck to hand. You can actually use Droll and Lockbird on Maxi. Effect Veiler is able to negate all the effects of a face-up monster card your opponent controls until end of turn. However, it's only on their turn. Ash Blossom is sort of like Droll and Lockbird, but more targeted. If you know what to disrupt, or how a certain deck is played, you can use Ash Blossom very well. So knowing what the meta is and playing around it is crucial when using hand traps. The 2 outlying hand traps here are, in my opinion, Nibiru and Maxi. Nibiru is specifically for large, longer combo chains. Maxi does the same. They both try to deter your opponent from comboing too much. Nibiru deters them by tributing everything on their field. Tributing is one of the many ways you can get around protection and negates. Maxi deters them as every time they special summon, you get resources. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a resource-heavy game, so if an opponent is willing to give you resources, you can technically win. Or you can set them back harder when it comes to your turn, or you get enough resources to be able to beat them when your turn comes around. Infinite Impermanence is a hand trap as it also negates cards' effects. However, you can activate it from the hand if you control no cards. So it's a good card on your opening hand, as you can put it face down on the field and it works like a normal trap card. That's it for hand traps. There are quite a few more I did not list here. Hand traps are used to counteract specific strategies, so you want to include hand traps based on what other people are playing. That requires knowledge of the meta and what higher end players are playing. Research and reading are key if you want to come out as a better card player or deck builder. I'll see you in the next portion of the video. And now we get to a term that I've learned to either love immensely or hate immensely. Omni-negate. An Omni-negate is any effect that allows you to cancel any other effects from activating on the field, be that trap effect, monster effect, or spell effect. These are considered higher end cards and are highly sought after as a ending board state. If you've played any amount of platinum rank, you know what Herald of Ultimateness is. It is a very powerful Omni-negate, as it can continuously negate as long as it has resources in hand. More fair Omni-negates, in my opinion, are Miss Valley Apex Avian. You can return any Miss Valley card you control to the hand, negate the activation of a effect, and if I do, destroy it. Invoke Mikaba also does something similar. However, you have to discard a like card type to negate and destroy a card. Luckily, Invoked Mikaba also banishes, which makes it a rather powerful negate effect, as long as you have the appropriate resources in hand. Chio is also a Omni-negate, as she is able to negate any card effect as long as you have a House Dragon Maid in your extra deck. If you do not have a House Dragon Maid, you actually cannot activate her effect. So she's a bit more on the weaker end if somehow your opponent was able to remove all your House Dragon Maids from your extra deck. That's it for Omni-negates. Some decks don't even have an Omni-negate. They just have a ton of cards that prevent effects from activating, particularly Floodgates. I'll see you in that portion of this video later. And here we are with Floodgates. Floodgates are cards that restrict certain card activations from taking place. Not as broad as Omni-negates, they are more targeted negations. The key cards to mention here are both Skill Drain, as well as Imperial Order. Two of these cards negate field activation of effect monsters and spell cards respectively. In the case of Skill Drain, it also negates the passive effect of monsters as well. Other cards in this category are Macrocosmos, for preventing cards from getting into the graveyard, a key aspect of some combos. Another card is Royal Decree, which negates the effect of all other trap cards on the field. To get around Floodgates, you can actually use graveyard effects. That's why, generally, Macrocosmos is sometimes ran. So in the case of Imperial Order, if I want to remove it, I would use something along the lines of True Draco Heritage, as True Draco Heritage has a effect that activates when it is sent to the graveyard, and that allows me to destroy a card. Because it activated in graveyard, it is not affected by the Floodgates. Same thing with Skill Drain. Skill Drain can be removed if you have a monster card that activates from the graveyard. That's why knowing what cards or what effects activate where is key to playing around these two very oppressive cards. These cards don't have that much protection if you're able to consider and build around them. What does have lots of protection is the cards we'll be looking at in the next portion of this video. So in this portion of the video, we will be talking about protection. Protection refers to the ability of a card to stay on the field. This is a bit different from Omni-negate, as I consider protection more as a passive trait than a activated thing that negates a effect that would remove a card. So in this case, passive protection would be something like number F0, Utopic Dragon Future. It is protected against battle as well as card effects. So it's a very good card that has really good protection. Same thing with Chaos Max Dragon. It is a good card with decent protection as well. It can't be targeted by card effects, also it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. There's also Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon. It is unaffected by other cards' effects. As you can tell, protection is quite difficult to get around. However, as with tech cards, there are ways to get around protection, and I'll show them to you right now. Like many other things in Yu-Gi-Oh!, there are several paths to accomplish something. In this case, to get around protection, there are two cases that I consider: a general way to get around protection and a specific way to get around protection. The general way is by tributing your opponent's protected monsters. This is accomplished by cards like the Kaiju archetype or cards like Lava Golem. You can tribute your opponent's monsters and then special summon either Lava Golem or a Kaiju onto their side of the field. Generally, these monsters will just be giant beat sticks with no protection at all. The specific way to get around protection is via card/effect wording. You have cards like Divine Arsenal Zeus. The wording on this card says, send cards from the field to the graveyard. This does not include the words target or destroy, so it gets around target effects and destroy effects. Then you have cards like Heretic Seal the Heavenly Spheres. This also does not include the word target, nor does it include destruction, so it gets around both of those as well. And lastly, there's Tri-Brigade Chiriag, the Ominous Omen. Again, it does not have the word target, nor does it have the word destroy, so it gets around both destruction and target protection. These are just some ways that reading a card explains what it does. Reading Comprehension is one of the most powerful skills you can possess when playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Speaking of which, I'll see you in the next portion of this video. And here we are with one of the most important lessons anyone can learn in Yu-Gi-Oh! Reading comprehension is the most useful thing in this game, as not being able to fully understand a card's effects can make or break your matches. The cards on screen are a key example. If you can't follow through completely with a card's effect, then you can't activate said effect. The best way to break up effects on a card is by using periods to mark the beginning and end of an effect. If you are unable to fulfill anything in the sentence on a card, you cannot activate the effect in that sentence. For example, Dragon Maid Shio. Her effect is when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Also, after that, return this card to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon one House Dragon Maid from your extra deck. If you do not have a House Dragon Maid in your extra deck, you cannot activate Shio's negate effect. Another shorter example, Terraforming. Terraforming simply says add one field spell from your deck to your hand. However, if you do not have a field spell to add to your hand, you cannot activate Terraforming. Lastly, there's Widow Anchor. If there are no monsters that you can target with Widow Anchor, either because they have target protection or there's no effect monsters at all, you can't activate Widow Anchor, even if you fulfill all the other requirements on the card, as there's no legitimate target. This is just to highlight the importance of reading comprehension. The difference between a good player and a great player is that skill. And it is my hope that you come out of this video as a great player, if not a better player than when you came into it. Like if you liked the video, sub if you're a sandwich, and have a great rest of your day.